We are Heather and Paul Christie.
And for over 12 years, we've worked with executives and entrepreneurs to accelerate change in every aspect of their business.
Because we are in the fastest paced business environment that anyone has ever seen before.
So join us for the Evolve to Win show.
Welcome to another Evolve to Win show with Heather and Paul, except Paul's behind the camera today. And we are here for part 2 of the Evolve to Win show. If you joined in last time, you saw my cousin Lardinois, and she was telling us all about the gift that she gave to her children, which was early on in their worlds, she put them on a budget and taught them about financial mastery, financial freedom. So we had a lot of great feedback from that show, and believe it or not, we just happened to have, we have Bailey Lardinois with us today. She is the one who's been staying with us in Naples. So if you follow us and all of you know us well, you might know that Bailey's been living down here in Naples for a year and a half,
2 years.
Almost 2 years now. And but her sister Sierra has just come to town. Hey Sierra.
Hello.
Thank you for being on the show today with us.
Thanks
Both
for having
of you.
us. Yeah, thanks for having us.
And so they're going to give us the perspective of the kids, right? They're going to tell us what it was like to be put on that budget at the age of 15 and 16 respectively. Not only what the impact was at a young age, but also, so what has that done for them as young adults? So I'm super excited to hear from both of you. And can I just start by saying, at your age, if anyone had asked me to get on camera, now we didn't have Facebook back then, so I get it. You guys have grown up with cameras, but I never would have done it. So I'm so proud of you guys for joining me on the show. Thank you.
Yeah, so excited to be here. It's awesome. Thank you for the opportunity to get to sit and be interviewed. So it's pretty exciting.
Okay.
And it's so fun being here with Sierra.
It's fun having the sisters together. They look alike, don't they? Okay, so we're going to start with you, Sierra, because Sierra is the older one by a year, right?
2 years.
2 full years.
23 months.
23 months, 2 full years. Okay, they're going to just school me the whole way through. All right, so Sierra being the big sister, you got to pave the way for Bailey pretty much all the way through. But really for you, your mom kind of started setting you up for this program at what age?
So the budget I don't think started until I was 16, but somewhere near my 15th birthday, my parents had told me that I was going to be able to save as much as I could from my 15th birthday to my 16th birthday, and then they would match whatever I had saved so I could buy my own car. And it would be my car, not their car. You know, it was on their insurance, but I was paying for all of that. I paid my insurance. I paid for the car myself.
So you were told on your 15th birthday that you had 1 year to save as much as you possibly could, and whatever you could save, they would match it. Is that right?
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. So you were sort of positioned at that stage that you would be buying your own car and that you would be paying for insurance and everything else.
Yeah.
Did that feel right to you? Did that feel awkward? I mean, what was the, sometimes kids have cars just bought for them, or they just get to use their parents' cars. So how was that?
I think that it was stressful for sure at first, because it didn't seem fair, because all of my friends were getting handed their cars, their parents were filling their gas tanks. I had to then suddenly be in charge of a large amount of money to figure out what to do with.
Yeah, at the age of 15, thinking about buying your own car, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
But you've always been a saver, right? Didn't you start saving at a young age?
Very much so.
Okay.
And so I saved all that, but then when it came time to buy my car, it was stressful because I had no more savings.
Right, you completely drained your savings account
right
at that point. Okay, all right, so then we get to age 16. So your birthday is in December, and as of January 1, is that when you started the whole deal with the budget?
I'm not positive. I don't remember small details like that.
Okay,
but
so somewhere in that range.
Somewhere close to there.
Okay, so for those of you who didn't tune in last time when we had Lynette on, who is their mother, who, by the way, just the briefest story, she's my third cousin just my third cousin.
Yep.
And these two are my third cousin once removed.
Yeah.
And don't worry about what that means. I'm still trying to work it out, but we're distant relatives. When we had Lynette on the show, she was basically walking us through the fact that she had attended or listened to a Dave Ramsey probably cassette tape back in the day, and came up with this idea about really teaching her children financial mastery so that ultimately they could experience financial freedom and complete independence. So she decided to put them on a budget, and Sierra, being the older daughter, she was put on the budget starting at 16. Now, Bailey, you got put on the budget at the exact same time. So you were what, 14?
Yes, I was 14. So I believe I was in 8th grade and Sierra was a sophomore. So she had just gotten her license. And my mom explained that the reason why that worked was because then we ultimately had the freedom to go to the store and buy our own things. So we were essentially in charge of shampoo, conditioner, all toiletries, clothing, everything except food, shelter, and medical expenses.
Okay, so I want you all to think about that for a moment. They were responsible starting at the age of 14 and 16 for everything other than food, shelter, medical.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to hear from you at that time in your life. First of all, do you remember back at that time, and do you remember what that felt like to be put on the budget? Talk to us about it.
I do remember beforehand having the, not, it didn't feel like a burden because it was normal, but needing to always ask for money. Like, hey, I'm going out with my friends, I need $20 here, or hey, whatever it was, whatever I needed money for, always having to have that dependence of going to our parents and asking.
So you actually remember what that was like to always be asking for money. I need money, I need money, I need money.
And I don't remember, once we started this, I don't remember, it wasn't like a big sit down, like, hey, we're doing this cool program. Like, it was very casual, it was very subtle, and just, we're gonna try this and see how it goes, and this is what we're gonna try. So it was really cool because at the beginning, there wasn't a lot of pressure for me because I also didn't have many expenses that were, like Sierra had gas and a car and insurance right off the bat, but for me, I didn't have that responsibility yet. So for me, it wasn't super stressful, but it definitely was a change of, okay, now I'm paying for my shampoo and I have no idea what that costs, and we're gonna figure this out. And honestly, the prioritizing of, okay, I want to prioritize, I would rather buy a shirt this month and go out to dinner next month, you know, just the choice and the freedom of choice that I had then of being in control of my money, so that I got to choose what I wanted to spend it on.
And so did you guys like work together? Did you collaborate on that?
We got very good at sharing because in high school, we shared a bathroom. So, like, we weren't going to both buy shampoo and conditioner every month.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, okay, it's getting low. One of us pays for it, and then we would bring home receipts and, like, highlight all the stuff that was shared and divide that by 2. And so, like, it also made us good at sharing.
All right, so, I mean, really, I hadn't thought about that aspect before, but it really taught you how to work together to make the most of your budgets, right?
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. And Sierra, do you remember what it felt like at that time to go from just being able to get money for anything to all of a sudden it's on you, kid? Like, what was that like?
I don't know that I specifically remember before.
Okay.
But I feel like for me as well, it made me like prioritize, and like, I mean, I wasn't driving far. We lived 5 minutes from our school. We didn't go anywhere. We just drove back and forth from school or like to the mall sometimes. So I don't remember it being like that, like, no, I can't do that because it's not within my budget. Like,
okay.
So
you weren't totally stressed about it.
I mean, I think that I was, but it was probably just being dramatic. Like, I didn't understand it. Yeah, right. And like, you're learning a lot. So, and it wasn't like they were giving me $10 to use all month. Like, they gave us generous budgets. So I appreciate it because it taught me a lot about, you know, the value of $1, but also it wasn't like so strict that I couldn't do it.
Yeah, got it. So you started to appreciate, first of all, what things cost, right?
Right.
Which, of course, you wouldn't have had any idea prior to this. I remember Lynette telling the story about how you're like, oh my gosh, shampoo is really expensive. And you used to use like 2 pumps. And you're like, I can get away with 1 pump or something like that, right?
She said 5, which I probably did.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah. But just, I mean, just those little things, having that,
right.
the really experiencing the value of things. But also, it sounds to me like there was some amount of independence that you were experiencing too, because now I don't need to always ask you. I have this money and I get to make my choices.
Yeah. Right.
Now, did you ever, how did your friends react? Because I don't imagine, did you have other friends who were on this same program?
No, I remember that very vividly of at the beginning when we first started this, you know, it got out to our friends and we got to explain it to our friends of, hey, we're doing this cool thing and this is what we're doing. And I remember at the beginning, my friends were like, that's so weird.
That's so not cool.
That's so not cool. Like, I'm so sorry for you because that sucks. like good luck, but I'm good over here. But as the years went on, and I think definitely going into high school and all the way through high school, the value that it brought of having the independence of not having that leash with my parents, I think that my friends did become envious, and they saw that, oh my gosh, she has the freedom and she doesn't have to go ask for money when we want to go out to dinner or when we want to buy things. I think that they saw the value in it, but then also didn't know how to get that for themselves.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, of course not, right?
Right.
It's just such an interesting concept. It's so different from how I was raised. And yet, when I first heard about this program, I thought, wow, it's just incredible. And in part because I know you two now, and I know the impact that this has had on you. So let's fast forward. You get through high school. You guys are completely, you're still financially dependent on your parents because they're giving you this bit of a salary. But they ended up having 2 other children, you know, after they took a little break, and then they had 2 other children. What was it like when your sisters came around? Because you're getting paid. Did you actually have to do work? Like, did you have to do chores? Did you have to babysit in return for that money that they gave you, or how did that work?
I think so. A lot of people find out that you have sisters that are 10 and 12 years younger than you, and they're like, oh, that's fantastic. You have built-in babysitters. And that was very annoying, but at the same time, I think our parents handled it very well because they recognize that we are not Maggie and Reese's parents, and we are in middle school, high school, and we want to hang out with our friends like normal people that don't have infants at home.
Yeah.
And so they would pay us extra for, like, you know, like a regular babysitter, like as if they were bringing.
So you got hired essentially to babysit. So that was a really
so we
fair
were
exchange.
built-in babysitters, but we got paid for it because
Yeah.
we weren't their parents.
Ooh, pretty cool. So you had even a bigger budget.
Yeah.
And you
if you
also
took the time, because then if you said no, they would find a babysitter. If you already had plans, they wouldn't like force us to stay home then.
Okay.
So you still had to prioritize babysitting then to get the extra.
Mm-hmm. And didn't you take on a part-time job early on in addition to all of this, right?
Correct.
You
I worked at a little kid's shoe store.
So at a kid's shoe store.
Yes.
Did you have a part-time job?
I had a job. Yep. So I was a 3-sport athlete, and so I had sports, you know, all year round, and then I was working on the weekends. So.
Okay. All right. So both of you, and academically, how did you guys do academically?
Oh, I think Sierra won that one. But no, Sierra honestly paved the way for me. She did such a good job of being a model for my academics. I had a 3.92,
So I took college classes in high school.
Okay.
And so I am the kind of person that would rather have my work done before I do anything else. So I would come home and like right after getting off the bus, would sit down, do my homework, finish it, and then it was time to go have fun. So like,
I don't think we're actually related.
Bailey didn't know any different because that's what I did.
So
you were trained to do the
Yes.
exact same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
like,
not have done that by myself.
because like, why would you know, have fun first if I'm doing homework anyway, and then I go have fun, and then she would be doing homework. So like, she just automatically did her homework right after school because I was lame and did my homework right after school. But then I didn't have to think about it the rest of the night.
Yeah, Paul, we could have both used her in our house. Yeah, it was. Yeah, she
Don't eat the marshmallow.
She did not eat the marshmallow first. She waited. Okay, so let's now fast forward. You get into college. So you didn't tell me about your academics though. How did you do academically?
I got over 4.0.
How'd you get over 4.0?
Because of those college classes.
Oh, so you got like bonus credits.
It's like they add
Over.
0.025. So I think I had a 4.2 or something. And I still wasn't like, I was like 30th in my class or 30th% in my class. So that's how many.
Oh my gosh, overachievers.
How many overachievers we have at Christie. Yeah.
Okay. Now I want to just bring it forward to talk about what it was like once you got into college. So both girls took a different path, right? Sierra went straight to college on an amazing scholarship, which I'd love for you to share. Because I mean, I don't know how many of you out there have kids who are just getting into school, or they're just, getting to graduate high school, and you're wondering like, what's out there for funding? Because college is ridiculously expensive these days.
Yeah.
Can you share just a little bit about the path that you took to find that scholarship and to get that scholarship?
So this seems really like out there, but so I was filling out scholarships. It's stressful. It's whatever. I was leaving for Israel my senior year of high school the next week, and I was trying to get as many scholarships in before the deadline because the deadline was while I was gone.
Okay.
And so I found this scholarship randomly on our school's website, filled it out because I didn't have to write an essay and it was easy. And so I filled this scholarship out, don't think anything of it again. Scholarship day rolls around. I don't hear anything. I get a couple, I signed some grant in 8th grade saying that I wouldn't, drink and drive or something like that. So I got $1,000 for my first year, but nothing beyond that. And then I go to my summer job at a factory and hate every second of it, but I need to figure out how to pay for college by myself because that's what I'm doing. Yeah. And so I remember in July, I think, between my senior year and my freshman year of college, I already know that I'm going to GB in the fall. And
GB is Green Bay, for those
yes, Green Bay.
University of Wisconsin, Green Bay.
And I got a letter in the mail, and it was from the Ab Nicholas Scholarship Foundation. And I was like, Mom, how do I know this is real? It's a $40,000 renewable scholarship as long as I keep 12 credits. So I have to stay a full-time student, get a 2.0. So I need D's to keep my.
Have you ever gotten a D?
No. And something else. Oh, I can't be a college athlete because I managed the basketball team to get this scholarship. You have to
senior year of high school.
You have to either be a basketball player or manage the team when you're a senior in high school. And so I managed the team so that I could hang out with Bailey. I didn't know that this scholarship existed. I found it. I got it. And so I did not pay a dime to go to college.
$40,000 a year. I know, seriously, breathe right now. There's some of you out there who are listening like, my kid didn't even look for scholarships. How did you find it? How did you do this? Did your parents make you go find scholarships?
I don't think so. I just knew that I had to pay for it myself, and that was enough for me to be like, okay, I need to do something.
Okay, so this is what I think is part of what's so incredible about what happened, is that because you were in the mindset of, I want to go to school and I know I have to pay for it, you took the initiative on your own. Your mom said she didn't even know that you were applying for scholarships. So you did your own research as a senior in high school?
Yeah.
So you did your own research. How many different scholarship opportunities did you find out there?
There's a lot.
A lot, right?
Yeah, a lot.
And you filled out numerous applications.
Yeah.
Okay. And that one came through that was just like that match made in heaven, right?
And I did get another scholarship my freshman and sophomore year of college. I had another, I think it was $2,500 a year or something like that, which also helped, especially my freshman year when I was living on campus. It was a lot more expensive. But then moving off campus my sophomore through senior years saved a ton of money too.
And so how much debt then did you graduate? Because you just graduated.
Yeah.
How much debt did you graduate with? How many student
$0
loans?
of debt. Oh my God. And it feels fantastic.
I am just so proud of you, and I'm so happy for you that you did all of that, and you did it 100%. on your own.
Yeah.
That's what is so cool. And would you have done all of that? Like, how many other of your friends were feverishly filling out scholarship applications like you were? Was everyone doing it?
I mean, I think they did promote it at school a lot. So like if I wouldn't have, come up with that on my own, I don't think, if they weren't telling us about it at school. So I had to hear about it from somewhere. But I don't know that I would have not taken the initiative. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like my mom was forcing me to. Because some people have their parents telling them they have to fill them out and like holding their hand while they fill out the applications.
Right. But you did that with as your mom said, she didn't even know.
Right.
She found out after the fact that you had done all that work.
Right.
So it's just incredible. It's incredible you took that on. Now, Bailey, you took a little bit of a different path, and you had made it into University of Wisconsin as well, and you were all ready and set to go.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Yes. So I graduated high school, and the plan was to go to college, because I think that society pushes that a lot these days. Of if you do well in high school, you go to college, and that's just what you do. And so I applied for the same scholarship that Sierra had gotten. I applied for several other ones that were smaller, and I ended up getting one that I think it was $1,000 as well. And so I got $1,000, and then I knew that I wouldn't hear back from the scholarship that would pay for everything until like July. So mid-July, you go to college a month later. So you have to plan, like, either you're going or you're going and you're paying for it,
Yeah.
So
you're at the verge, and you also know at this point that you're paying for college one way or another.
Yes.
So you're riding on either the scholarship comes in and I'm going just like Sierra at nothing out of my pocket, or I'm going in and I've got student loans to take out then, obviously. Okay.
Yep. And I had chosen a different college from Sierra. Mine was about 3 hours away from home, and Sierra's was 30 minutes. But ultimately, the scholarship would have paid for school as well. So bottom line, it became really stressful for me. I was so stressed about, if I don't get the scholarship, what happens if I don't get the scholarship? And my mom looked at me and she's like, Bailey, you need to just take the pressure off. Like, take a deep breath and find what you love, and figure out a plan B of what you love, whether you get the scholarship or you don't. So ultimately, then we came up with plan A, was you get the scholarship, you go to school, and you're taken care of, and you figure out what you want to do after that. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then plan B was, okay, if you don't get the scholarship, what else is there? And I had always been told, like, oh, you're great at massage, you have your mom's hands.
Because Lynette has owned a massage business for, 25 years?
26 years, yeah.
26 years.
So I was like, okay, I could do that. And Mom was like, well, you can do that anywhere in the world. Like, massage is everywhere. And so then, knowing Heather and Paul had foreign exchange students in the past, she had asked them if I could come live with them, and threw that option out there. And so plan A was go to school, and plan B was, okay, move to Florida and and go to massage school and figure life out from there. So yeah, that's what I did. And
so the scholarship did not end up coming through.
So it was interesting, because I planned for college. I applied, I got accepted, I went to orientation, I had a roommate, I set a schedule, like everything, the whole shebang. I was straight up.
Did you pay deposits too that you lost?
I paid, like, you have to pay for orientation, and then you put a deposit down of like housing and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yes. Mm-hmm. And then scholarship day came, and they only tell the contestants who win the scholarship, or the students who win. So I didn't hear anything, and it was probably around like 2 or 3, and Mom finally looked at me and was like, they haven't sent it yet, like, you probably didn't get it. And so then it was, okay, I'm moving to Florida. And at first it was hard for me, and I was like, wow, I'm really moving to Florida. And I think that because they push it so hard in college, in high school they push it so hard, like, you should go to college, and college is right for so many people, and that's just such a a thing of the time right now that young people do, that it was hard for me to wrap my head around, like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to college. And so it took a few days of like getting excited about it, but in a good way. And the amazing thing is, once that decision was made and once that fell into place, like, I can't tell you how many pieces fell into place before I left for Florida. And once I left, although the hardest parts were the goodbyes of the friends and the family, and moving out of the house for the first time and having that be 24 hours away is hard and sad. But everything fell into place, and I am totally meant to be here and doing what I'm doing, and I totally feel like that. So.
Yeah, you're absolutely on your path, which is perfect,
Yes.
right? Different paths,
Yes.
but both are perfect for each of you. And so what's really incredible about where you've taken this, Bailey, you went and you got your massage certificate with like flying colors.
Yeah.
In addition to that, you were able to start up your own massage company once you got licensed.
Yes.
So she now owns Riverstone Massage and Reflexology.
Yes.
And, you know, so here's the deal. Yeah, Bailey comes to live with us while she's going to massage school. Well, guess what? She has to give a certain number of massages as well. So
Yeah.
we took it for the team and we helped her out.
Yes, that's
And
right.
we've had massages the whole way along, and she just keeps getting better and better and better. But you actually have a knack. It must be in your DNA to start with.
Yeah.
So she's now 20 years old, going to be 21
Yep.
in November.
Yeah.
She's completely financially independent.
Yes.
So she lives in our home, but she pays her own way. She pays for her groceries and everything else, her car, her gas.
Yeah.
You bought a new Prius,
Yeah,
a
so
used
let
Prius.
me tell you the value that I gained from learning this at such a young age. So I started as 14 years old. When I moved out of the house, that's when the allowance had stopped. So once I moved to Florida, I was completely on my own. And I paid for massage school all by myself. And the funny story is, so my mom and I went to the massage school to, I was already accepted and all of that, but like
To register.
to pay my money. And I paid all up front. So everything that I had saved from a young age throughout high school, and because our parents taught us the value of you tithe and then you save 10% of every allowance that you got, I had a savings account. And so
Wait, hang on. I don't want to gloss over this one because we didn't even talk about this yet. As part of your budget and what you learned at a young age, in addition to being responsible for all of your own stuff, you also were taught to tithe 10% and to save 10% for yourself. So all the way through your tithing and your saving, so you had a savings account built up.
Yeah.
Even after being like really set into this budget early on. Did you do that too?
Yeah. Yeah, so at 14 and 16.
I was like 30, what was I, 35 before I started figuring all that out. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at 14 and 16, we had savings accounts, but we went and got debit cards. So we had gotten debit cards at 14 and 16. That way we were able to be free. And the first thing they taught us was to tithe our first 10% and then tithe 10% into our savings account. And for me, I think that where we could have been a little better was having my mom or my dad make sure that I was doing that. I was really good about saving my 10%, but I wasn't so good about the diligence of tithing. And I think at the beginning I was, but after a few months of them like not getting on me about it, like, and I was like, it's okay. But I picked up that discipline again, which is good. But I think that that's something that could have been better, was just, hey, are you doing this? Are you doing this? Checking in. What about for you, Sierra?
I don't specifically remember ever stopping, but I'm sure that I
That was just
did. Yeah. I think that now looking at it, like from now looking back at what they've done, it's where I'm at right now is like I actually want to start like having a physical budget. Like this is what you get to spend here, because yes, they gave us this chunk of money and we had to figure out what to do with it. but I never specifically was like, okay, this money is going to be used for this and this money is going to be used for this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the cool thing now is making it my own, because this last fall I took actually a Dave Ramsey class at my church. And so like now I've seen the other perspective of it too, of like, yes, I saw all this growing up in my house and like we implemented these things, but now I know like where she got it from and why it was a thing. And now I get to make it my own.
Yes.
And I want to work on like, okay, this much is going here and I'm going to have this much of an emergency fund that I don't touch unless, because obviously emergencies happen, but they're not really emergencies if you're planning for them.
That's right.
And so like, I think for me, that's the biggest thing. And, you know, I've been paying rent, I've been doing all these, you know, bills and whatever, in addition to, I mean, I guess I don't pay for school, but
yeah,
but like just to have the other perspective of it and be financially free because of how.
Yeah, because that whole concept that Dave Ramsey has is about financial freedom, right? Because
his class is called Financial Peace University.
Yeah, because you don't have that stress of the constant, like, where is the money going to come from?
Right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. And so for you, Bailey, you were saying when you got here, and I totally cut you off because I was like trying to get my mind around what you're tithing and saving on top of this. Most adults are maybe not as diligent or disciplined as you guys were taught at such a young age.
So we were in a massage school, and I was, you know, writing my check, and they had told me how much it was, and I was privileged enough I had saved enough to pay it all up front, so I didn't have to worry about it from month to month. But it was funny because my mom and I were sitting, you know, next to each other, and the owner was across the desk, and he said, okay, it'll be this much. And he looked right at my mom, and I reached down and I pulled out my checkbook and I started writing the check, and he just looked, and he was examining what was going on and a little bit confused, like, oh, you're going to pay for it.
Like that's never happened before.
And he even said, oh, I'm so surprised you know how to write a check. Like he was surprised that I was the one paying for it, but surprised also that I even knew how to write my own check.
Because you're a big girl.
I'm a big girl now. So that was a really cool experience of just seeing the value of learning how to manage my money and being able to write checks.
And so you put yourself through massage school, you graduate, you get certified, you start your business. Yes. And now I made the comment on the last show that your hourly rate going from, you know, working at a job to being an entrepreneur has gone from what to what?
Yeah. So, going through high school, I worked at a gas station, and I got paid, I got paid big bucks, you know, $10.70 an hour, which was a lot compared to many of my friends who are working minimum wage. And then now owning my own business and getting paid, I charge $85 for a 60-minute massage and $120 for a 90-minute massage. So really seeing the fruit of that of, okay, I learned how to do it when I was only getting paid $10 an hour to now I know how to manage my money when I'm making $85 an hour.
So totally different
cool.
ballgame.
So
and then you enrolled yourself in a leadership class, and you paid for that, and you paid for your housing, you paid for everything else, and just graduated that leadership class. And just to hear your story and about how you've both managed to do all this, and yet at the same time it feels like you're doing this with some level of peace or freedom. I mean, like, how stressed are you guys about money right now?
Not very stressed. Not stressed.
But you look stressed. You're like totally laid back.
For me, I think the biggest thing, so graduating college debt free, I was stressed about finding a full-time job because they push at school. They have like a hired before graduation slideshow that goes through all of the hallways at campus. And I was like, I want my face on that, dang it.
Yeah.
And so that part stressed me out. But then I was like, wait, you are graduating debt free. Because all of my friends are like,
I was just going to ask, what's the average?
You have 3 months and then your loans kick in. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what that's like. I don't know.
Do you know what the
I
average is?
have no
Do you have
idea.
any idea what your friends have taken out?
No.
You don't know?
I don't ask because I don't want to tell them that I'm debt free and then make them mad.
Oh my gosh. I don't know what the average is these days, but I'm thinking it's 6 figures, right?
I have no idea.
I mean, think about it. If you were getting $40,000 a year.
No,
in
it
scholarship.
total.
Oh, it was a total. Okay.
So 10,000 a year.
10,000 a year. Okay.
But UW Green Bay is pretty cheap compared to the other schools too.
Okay.
So I don't know that that's a good average.
Mm-hmm.
But also just like not feeling trapped in my job because I don't have to have like, yes, I need a job because, you know, I want to keep my financial freedom, but it wasn't like I need to find a job now.
And you have to take the first job that shows up in front of you.
Right. So I applied to a bunch. I got offered some and I was like, actually, that doesn't sound fun. Never mind. I'm going to say no to that one. And so like I had a couple different options. And on my 5th day of work, 2 weeks ago, I got offered a promotion. So on Friday, I started Monday. On Friday, I went into the office and they're like, hey, so some plans changed. We have, you know, extra responsibilities, extra money. Do you want it? And I was like, yes. Yeah. And then I had Monday off because it was Labor Day. So I got my holiday pay.
Right. Is that what it's like to be on salary now, right? You're like, I get paid for
after 9 days of work, I was like, because I had this trip planned before they offered me the job. Now I'm getting PTO this week. And I was like, what is that? Like, I don't know how to do that. I'm getting paid and I'm not even there. This is fantastic.
It's amazing, isn't it? Oh my gosh. Okay, here's how we're going to wrap this up. I would like for each of you to give your best advice to the parents out there who are thinking about whether or not to put their kids on a budget the way that you guys grew up.
Yeah.
What's the best advice that you can give to parents out there who are really thinking about, oh my gosh, I want to do this. I'm scared of doing it. I don't know. What if my kids hate me? What do you say to them?
I think my best advice is to take the leap. Like, take the leap of faith that it is valuable. It's valuable for you, not only because then you are not having to pour out your pockets to your kids, and the idea of the prioritizing of understanding the kids' priorities of, hey, maybe this month they would rather have the shirt instead of going out to dinner, and letting them ultimately have that freedom as well. So just the freedom idea of try it, and you know, it can be adjusted to whichever way fits your family the best, but I think my best advice would be to try it. Try it and adjust if needed.
Thank you, Bailey. How about you, Sierra? What would you say?
Kind of off of that, I would say don't be afraid to fail because, you know, everyone makes mistakes, whatever. That's why you start young when it really doesn't matter, as my mom was saying. Like, the fridge is full of food. You're not going to starve because you know, drove too many places and ran out of gas. Like, but like learning how to, for your kids at least, learning how to say no to things, or just like in general, I feel like I have such a better understanding because of, you know, what we grew up with or like whatever. And so not being afraid to fail and like sticking with it too. Not being like, oh, but here's $20 more, here's whatever. Right. Because kids are unpredictable. And like, then you can't budget that.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to the parents to not be able to figure out how much their kids are going to cost them from month to month because 5 of their friends have birthdays in June. Like, so sticking with it, then they can stick to their budget, and it just makes
everyone's happy. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to the Evolve to Win show. Thank you to my 2 beautiful guests, and I'm so excited for both of you and all your success at such an early age. I admire both of you, and I respect you so much. And we look forward to seeing you again on the next Evolve to Win show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Okay.